我讲的孔凤条裤，
从 room 可以孔凤条裤。
孔凤条。
Okay, good afternoon everyone.
Afternoon.
Welcome to today's training, lesson 3. So, lesson 2 we ended at the curtain type fire damper, right? So today I will talk about the installation of the fire damper. And after that, Steven will continue with the training on tunnel damper. Okay, so let's just recap with where we left off from last training. Okay. Yeah, so last training we talked about what is the function of the fire damper. Okay, and the function of the fire damper in the AC MV system and the fire protection system. Okay, so I'll just run through very quickly. Okay, so we have this standard called SS333. The last version is 2012. Next year, we're expecting the new version to come out. Okay, so this is the standard that we based on in Singapore. Okay, then yeah, the primary function and how it works. We have a fusible link. So at 74 Celsius, then the fusible link will melt and the fire damper will close. Okay, then yeah, then it will prevent the fire from spreading to the next compartment. Okay, so this is the basic illustration. So normal, there will be airflow going out to the room. Then in any case, room A, there's a fire in room A. Then the hot air will rise, the smoke will rise, and will trigger the fusible link to close, to melt, I mean, and the blade will close. Okay, yeah. So room B is protected. So if in the market there's various type of fire damper. Okay, so this is fire damper for OLS. We have 3 different types. One is the RC400V, type ABC, G1, G2, and floor mounted RC400H, type ABC, and drywall curtain fire damper. Yeah, so this one is type A, this one is type B, and this one is type C. Okay, so there are 4 tests as stated in the SS333. One is the fire resistance test. So we will go for a fire test under SS333 and for 4 hours usually. Yeah, the next is the air leakage test. So although fire damper is not leakage rated, I would say, but in SS333 there is requirement for us to test the air leakage test. There's a table. We cannot exceed the criteria inside the table for air leakage. Next is the closing reliability. So the purpose of this test is to ensure that the fire damper, right, in its open position, it can close reliably. Yeah, reliably. Yes. Then during the test, we will open close 250 times. Yeah. Next is the spring closing force test. So this only applies to RC400H fire damper, horizontal height. Yeah, to test on the spring itself. Okay, so this is the fire resistance test. Yeah, normally it's 2 or 4 hours. Then yes, next is the passing criteria. So for BS476 is usually the international standard. SS333 is local standard in Singapore. Okay, they are quite similar, but in general, SS333 will be more stringent. Okay, more stringent. So this is the for SS333 fire resistance test. I think I will skip this because this is just a comparison of the 2 standards. Yeah. So basically, the first criteria is there's no flaming on the unexposed side for 10 seconds. Secondly, there's for SS333 there's no gap bigger than 3 mm. For 476 is 6 mm. Yeah. But for SS333 is 3 mm by 150 mm in length.
What do you mean by no gap?
Oh, means the gap right cannot be more than the
What gap?
value later stated here. Cause okay, because during fire there's deformation right to the damper. Okay, so sometimes when the blade deform right, or the frame deform right, let's say the gap between the blade and the frame there's a gap right. So maybe got fire sometimes then the blade deform, then maybe 10 mm gap, or then consider fail. So we need to make sure during the test the gap is within 3 mm for SS333, yes. Yeah. Not only that place, anywhere on the damper. Yeah.
So when you all test, they are using a string.
Yes.
Let's say it's 25 mm, they are using a 25 mm string. If the string can pass through,
Yeah.
you already feel.
Yeah. Normally they also got one rod 3 mm or 6 mm then they just poke lor. If poke through means fail already.
During the high temperature or
During the fire test.
Oh.
Yeah. During the fire test.
Mm.
Yeah. Then the 25 mm is the diameter round one. But the 3 or 6 mm is the inner length. Okay. So today I want to talk about installation, which we as a manufacturer, if possible, we try to advise the contractor what is the correct way to install. Yeah. Okay, so there are 4 important considerations during fire damper installation. Okay, the first one, right, is to ensure that the fire damper opening is sufficiently big. Okay, why? Because to allow for expansion of the fire damper during fire. Because when fire comes, the temperature is very high, and anything will expand. Yeah. So the opening must be sufficiently big to allow for expansion, thermal expansion. Then next is to ensure that the blade stack right will fall within the wall thickness in its fully closed position. All these I will go into detail later. Then next is the overlapping of the retaining angle and the wall or floor. Okay, so for this point it depends on where the fire damper is used actually. So cause different country, different standard. Okay. So the last one is the ensure that the connection to the duct and the fire damper, the duct is able to break away in the event of fire. Okay, so all this I will go through. Okay, so this is the fire damper thermal expansion calculation. So in the SS333 standard and also our general drawing, right, I think some of you might see this equation. Okay, so this equation is the formula for the fire damper opening. Let's say I have 1000, then I calculate that I can know this is the minimum opening. Okay, so why is 1.01? 1.01 is because of the linear coefficient of thermal expansion for steel. Okay, so this one is for GI, galvanized steel only, for this illustration. 1.01 W plus 10. So why plus 10 mm? Because 10 mm is for the safety factor. Because sometimes contractor they want to make the opening right, cannot be zun. So that is actually a safety factor. Yeah. Okay. So why is it important? Because if the opening is just nice can fit the fire damper, then during the fire right, the fire damper expand. but then you find that no place can expand, then buckling will occur. Then the frame and the blade, maybe they will break or something. Yeah. So it's important to have a sufficiently big opening. Okay, so E is the thermal expansion gap. Okay, so normally this gap, right, will fill with fire stopping material. In Singapore, normally we use rock wool, fiberglass, all this. So E is the gap between the wall opening here and the damper frame over here. Okay, then in between will fill with fire stopping material. Okay, so how do we calculate E? Yeah, this one just for info lah. As long as you all know how to find where to find the info, I think it's alright. Okay, so for galvanized steel damper, right? E is the thermal expansion. So for the left and right side, right? We can use this formula. Okay, so it's the overall width multiplied by 1.01 plus then minus the overall width. Okay, why divide 2? Because the fire damper, the left and right side, you can normally we will space it equally so that the gap will be divided by 2. Okay, the left and right side. Then for floor fire damper, on the 4 sides, right, we can adjust so that the gap on the 4 sides is equal. Okay, then so when it comes to vertical fire damper, for brick wall, for example, it's very difficult to adjust the damper to be exactly in the center of the opening, because the damper got its own weight. So the damper will sit on the insulation. Okay, so the insulation at the bottom will normally be compressed. Then on the top, right, the gap will be bigger. So that's why for the thermal expansion at the top, right, for the RC400V damper, we will use this formula without dividing by 2. Understand, right?
Overall height means overall width and overall height means what? The nominal size.
Just you can
Nominal
take it
size,
as a nominal, yes.
Not the actual size.
Not necessarily. Not necessary. You can just take it as a nominal. Okay, so for stainless steel damper, it's actually the same, except that this 1.01 becomes 1.015. So why 1.015? Because the expansion for stainless steel is more than the expansion for galvanized steel. Okay, so using the same size damper, 1 GI and 1 stainless steel, right? The opening for the stainless steel damper will be bigger, because stainless steel material expand more during fire. Yeah. Okay. So basically they are the same equation, just that these two values is different depending on material. Okay. Yeah. So next is for drywall. So just now I mentioned brick wall, right, the vertical fire damper, it will sit on the insulation, then compress, so it will sit down. So for drywall, right, we are using the hanging method for drywall. So when we hang the drywall, right, usually we will hang from the top. So the fire damper will be sticking to the top of the opening. Yeah. So in this case, right, it's actually the same formula, but the expansion will be expanding to the bottom. So that's just the difference, but the formula is actually the same. Okay, so this is just like illustration. So this is for masonry wall, RC 400H. So the damper will sit on the wall opening. So here the gap will be more than the bottom. So that's why just now the formula, right? The top, we just take it as that formula without dividing by 2. So the left and right we can divide by 2 because we can adjust the fly damper so that these two gap is equal. Okay. Then for drywall, we are hanging. So usually it's suspended from the top, so the gap at the bottom will be bigger than the gap at the top. So it's just a reverse. Okay. Okay, next, the blade stack must be fully contained within the penetrating element in closed position. Okay, so all this actually is all in the SS303. Yeah. So based on this diagram or illustration, right, the standard states that the blade stack must be within this wall thickness during fully closed position. Okay. So for A, right, there's no problem because this blade stack is all fully within the wall. Okay. So that's why sometimes when we sell G1, let's say one side grill, but the wall is too thin, right? We cannot do it because when we put the grill here, right, then this whole blade stack will be shifted behind. Then it will be out of the wall already. So that's why for one side grill, usually we have I think around 115 wall thickness minimum. Yeah. Then for type B, in cases like this, is considered doesn't comply with the standard with our standard because this blade stack, right, is already slightly out of this wall thickness already. Yeah. So actually B is incorrect, cannot be accepted based on the standard. Yeah. Okay, so the third point I want to bring up is the overlapping between the wall and retaining angle. So okay, so this one just now I mentioned different country, different standard, right? But always they will specify what is the distance overlapping between the retaining angle and this wall, means the contact distance. Yeah. So in some country they want 25, some country they want 2 times of this expansion gap, some country maybe 12. So we just take note of this first because since next year the SS303 will come out a new standard. So I don't want to just put a value here first. It depends on standard. Yeah.
The current standard is half.
Current standard is half, yes. Based on SS303, is half of this expansion gap. At least half of this expansion gap. Current standard.
Because for the wall fire damper, right, because of the gravity will sit down the insulation at the bottom, right?
Yes.
So but our retaining angle are all around 38 mm by 38 mm.
Yes.
So for the top one, right, you may not be able to cover
Yes.
half of it.
Depending on size, but
Depending on the size.
yeah.
Because some of our fire damper, the retaining angle may
yes.
be
But based on our current standard right now, is 10 mm.
our own standard.
Right now, yes.
SS303 standard.
No, OS standard.
OS standard.
Yeah. So, but this will change. This will change depending on what's the new standard coming out. Okay.
Rob, since this is the case, right, we always advise the minimum opening required, right?
Yes.
Shall we advise the maximum opening? Because they can say you advise the minimum, but
Yeah.
if they allow for too much, right, for expansion, right, then you will fail at this part.
Normally, we will just give them the minimum because if we give them the maximum, right, means we have to adjust retaining angle size already.
Okay, I know what you mean,
Yeah.
because we have different retaining size for different.
Yeah. So
different
let's
sizes.
say, actually they can calculate minimum size, right? Then in case I give them the wrong maximum size, then my retaining angle cannot cover the hole, then we have a problem. So actually we just give them the minimum size because the 10 mm we actually give extra already.
But do you think it's our responsibility to tell them what is the maximum opening? Why is that? Because you see they might open too much. When they open too much, right, then you can't get something like this.
Whether it's our responsibility to advise them.
Yeah.
Because our general drawing actually we have mentioned all these details. So whether they see or not, it's up to them actually, but we can highlight to them following our general drawing. Because general drawing got put the formula inside, right? Yeah. Then we also got say the overlapping part. We also got mention the overlapping part.
But we do not provide them our retaining angle size, right? Then they also have problem to estimate or to prevent this happen. Right?
Yeah, in this case then I think we have to give them our retaining angle size. Yeah. Yeah. So they can work it out themselves. Because it's impossible for us to go to site to ensure every opening fit enough also.
Yeah, but at least there's a figure there for them to follow.
Yeah. So in that case, we can only give them the retaining angle size. Yeah, because for H and B actually we have one table.
So for multiple fire damper module, for multiple one, right?
Yeah.
So they will still base on the whole fire damper to calculate the minimum opening size, right?
Whole file, yes, correct.
They are still based on the whole
Based
fire
on the
damper.
whole damper size. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's one or two.
So if let's say if the calculated minimum wall opening size, okay, but when contractor they open the, example the minimum wall opening size should be 30 mm.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 mm, or example let's say 30 mm for the roof side one.
Yes.
So what if they only open 20 mm? Means they open less than
The
minimum. Because for normal cases, contractor usually they open 20 to 25 mm all round,
Yeah.
just to slot in the rock room.
Yes.
So what if they open the opening is less than the standard minimum opening
They're not
size?
sure that they have to hack or something. By right lah, by right. Yes. So they have to make sure big enough. Okay, next is the last point I want to bring up is the breakaway connection. So what is a breakaway connection? So let's say there's a fire in room A, right? Okay, then so the smoke go up. So during fire, right, room A has fire. So the ducting on top, right, may subject to the fire. The ducting may fall off or lose support or something. So we do want this ducting, right, in case it fall off, right, to pull the fire damper away from the wall. So that's why the connection must be a breakaway connection. So means this ducting fall off, right, but the damper, fire damper still in place to protect this wall. Okay. So in SS333, these are some of our fire damper connection under SS333. So most of them is by slip jointing. Yeah, because by slip jointing. Yeah. Then if by bolting, right, they actually specify aluminium bolt or rivets. Yeah, because aluminium will melt during fire. Because fire can be up to 1000 over degrees, then aluminium maybe 500-600 only. Yeah, so in the event of fire, the aluminium rivet or bolt will melt and then the connection will break. Then the slip joint no problem because there's no what do you call that? The fixing part. Yeah. So these are some of the joining method. Okay, so what is the incorrect installation of fire damper? This is on the duct connection part, right? So normally contractor they will install a short duct to our fire damper, right? Okay, so the fire damper, right? Maybe sometime they will cut this shape out to avoid our boat, right? But somehow, right, this part, right, they slip in too deep because our retaining angle is 38 mm at the sleeve there, right? If they slot in too deep, slot in all the way, then during fire, yeah, this guy maybe won't break away. Maybe this guy will still pull the fire damper away. Yeah. So this is actually wrong. Okay. Yeah. So the actual correct one, right? If we zoom in, right, this is the short duct like others or duct. So actually they just need to do this. The retaining angle they just loosen up, right? Then the short duct they just move into here. Just before the boat, our boat lah. Then we just fasten it together. So actually that's all. They no need to, no need for them to put the whole duct in and then bolt together. Yeah, breakaway connection. Yeah. Okay. So those are the 4 important points for fire damper installation. Okay, so next we will go to the installation procedures on various type of fire dampers. Yeah, so there are basically 3 major installation procedures. For masonry wall floor, drywall we have 2 methods. Okay. Okay, so for fire damper installation on masonry wall and floor, before installation we have to make sure several things. So the first one is to ensure the opening dimension is correct, big enough to allow for fire damper expansion. The second one is to ensure the wall surfaces are as flat as possible. So this one of course is difficult for contractor to 100%, but on our side we will advise that on the wall opening the wall should be as flat as possible. Yeah, because in the end the retaining angle should be flush with the wall. Yeah. Then next is the fire damper orientation. So in some cases, right, for example floor, they need to see where is the access panel. Because the floor fire damper sometimes we need to reset the plate. So they need to see, usually it's on the floor so they need to ensure that from the access panel they can, in this direction they can reset the plate. Because normally access panel they open from one side only. Yeah. Okay, so this is the general installation procedure. So from the left side, right, yeah, normally we supply the fire damper with the retaining angles on. So they have to remove one side of the retaining angle. Then from one side they slot the fire damper through the opening. Okay. Then next they will fill the gap on the 4 sides. So on the 4 sides of when there's space filled with rock wool. Talking about this, the rock wool, right? What we use during test is 60 kg per